about passion and purpose. So I was talking to a local college football coach here, and he was telling me, Vishal, imagine you are in this team because of job security, right? So in sports team, it's very common to have a passion, and that's why you are. Otherwise, it will show up in very quickly, and you are out, or you yourself fade away. In a job scenario, there, I think he was telling me that majority of the workforce is not passionate enough. Like you cannot say they are there because of their whys, right? They're
Right.
because either it's a job security or scarcity, or they're too afraid to leave. They have no passion. They have not asked their whys, and there's a massive deficit on understanding their whys. So you have been a leader on sort of created your own company. You're helping other companies. If you are a leader who's watching or listening to this conversation, what would they do to ensure that their workforce, they know their whys, or they know their passion, and they're rightly gainfully employed in their organization, not because of the fear, but because of they're passionate about it?
Yeah, so I actually ended up bumping into this a lot after I wrote The Art of Why, and that's why we created the School of Why, to create workshops and a format for us to help roll our sleeves up and help people work through this process. So what I do with a lot of people is I go in and do workshops inside the company with
Mhm.
their employees, where their employees can be a part of the workshop and actually work these steps. But for people where that's not practical, you can use the steps from this book and a lot of other great books in order to encourage the team to be going through some sort of a process together. So the best thing that they could be doing is come up with either your own process or borrow a process like Breaking Why, and use that system to go through that. Whether that's like once a month or once a week, maybe you come together for 30 minutes, or if it's once a month, a little bit longer, and you're talking through some of these different things. And if you can't do it with the whole company, you do it with whatever team you're on, and then that team does it with the team that they're on. And so you create these systems where you're staying accountable and you're all moving in a similar direction, and you're looking at KPIs every day, and you're looking at what matters, but you're also talking about the core values and core mission of the company. So you don't want to ever lose that. A lot of companies, not only do they not have an exit strategy, they don't even know what their mission is or what their core values are.
Mm.
So the employee doesn't even know if they're into that. It took me a long time to really identify what the core values were for our company. Early on in the process, I didn't even ask those questions. It took me years, and I was a successful company before I even looked at mission statements and core values, which for us, we had identified this is with Russo Capital and all the companies that I invest in. I'm looking for these same core values, and in people, this is actually what we would use to grade on if someone is these things. So the core values were accountable and transparent, driven by results, adaptable or growth oriented, passion for innovation, put others first, and proactive. Okay, so those 6 core values became what I built all my companies on. But also, when it came time for an employee review, whether the employee reported to me or reported to the next person, we were evaluating, is this person accountable or transparent? Sometimes, always, never. And we went through that with driven by results, adaptable or growth oriented. You see what I'm saying? And then that becomes the score. And then everybody knows. And we would make the employees come into the review scoring themselves on these aspects.
Interesting.
Yeah. So those are some of the practical, like granular things to make sure that everyone is looking at the mission, looking at the why, looking at the core values that and I didn't say one word about sales driven, revenue driven,
Mm.
fastest growing company in America. You know what I'm saying? Great EBITDA, low churn rate. Those aren't core values, but like that's usually everybody's talking about, right? But if you make
I'm,
the
I'm
conversation about this, those other pieces will come out. You got to measure those other KPIs, but if you're not circling back to the qualitative aspects of what makes this company great, then it ain't a great company. It's just maybe a good company.
And I'm curious about, is there any too much why? Like, is there any analysis paralysis on understanding your why?
Of course. Absolutely. At the end of the day, understanding your why is only the first step. All of
Hmm.
the rest of the steps are work. You got to do stuff, right? So just sitting around and meditating and learning about ourselves and frolicking in the wind can't be all there is to. You do have to have grit. You got to do work. Faith without works is dead. From a spiritual aspect, and so like just by knowing stuff, believing stuff, saying stuff, that's not going to get us all the way there. We do have to look at these things, but that's just the first step. The rest of the step is hard work and it's daily work, and you have to do stuff, and you've got to balance the qualitative and quantitative. That's why we go back and forth between each step.